Here he is. Schloss!
What's good?
What's happening, bud?
Not much, long time no see.
Long time no see.
All right, we are live here with a SchlossRant. It is Masters Week. That means we had to bring back the one, the only Brown Bear. Miguel, the floor is yours. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm a little stressed out, to be honest, because your brain works different than mine. And you sent me kind of the agenda for today's talk, and my head blew up. You're such a numbers nerd, dude. Like when I saw all those percentages and plus this and plus, I was like, now I get strokes gained and approach and stuff like that. But you started telling me the plus 3,500. I was like, what? No, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I do is, from the, sports investing side of things. So we'll, of course, break that down, in a simple way for you. But yes, I can imagine. My notes are all over the place. I got all sorts of data. I mean, you'll see later on for everyone listening, I'm going to break down the 1956 Masters and talk, we'll go historic, we'll go all sorts of different stats, but we'll give you the normal entertaining stuff because it is Masters Week and it is the most important week thus far in the golf calendar. So
it is.
Where do you want to start?
So I just saw something on Instagram where Greg Norman was not invited to the grounds, and they won't even give him a patron pass, which I think is a mistake. I do think that's a little petty, and the guy is a former major winner. He's a Hall of Famer, and there are going to be a lot of his players there. So just let him there. I mean, that's not that he's their coach or anything like that. I don't know. I just think it's a little weird, but I am excited about this live offering. I'm excited, and Brooks Koepka mentioned, he goes, I miss playing with Rory. I miss playing with Scotty. I miss seeing all of the world's best golfers on the same course at the same time. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think getting these guys back together, it's kind of like an old, high school reunion, and maybe some of the people from the class went off and did, different things. They hung with different crowds and they'll never be seen again, except for at these majors. So I think the live angle is definitely interesting. And on Norman, I mean, this is a guy who, he never won a Masters. He came darn close, and you'd know probably better than me. And he's a guy who's kind of in the golf world been portrayed a little unfairly ultimately because he did win 2 majors. It's not like he was a complete, choker and joke.
Right. Well, and let's not forget about his, his world number one. Tiger has had it forever, and I don't think anybody will ever have it. But I'm looking it up right now. Greg Norman was world number one for 331 weeks.
Right. So like give or take 6 years.
Yeah, that's a long time, dude.
Right.
So the guy's got some pedigree. I just think it's a shame. I really do. I don't think he was going to show up and, disrespect Augusta, disrespect the Masters tournament, or disrespect players. I don't see him going up to the first tee and yelling at Rory or anything like that. But it is what it is. He's not going to be there. I think it's a shame. But I am very excited about the live players because I miss them. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not a big Brooks Koepka fan, but I do miss watching him play. I'm excited to see kind of how Cam Smith is after now being a major winner.
He said that he's made his bed and he's happy with the bed that he's sleeping in. He said something.
He said very, very happy.
Yeah, you get 100+ million reasons to be very, very happy. Can you blame him? I mean, come on. But as far as Norman, and then we'll put a bed to that whole thing. This is, if there was any other golf major, as in not the Masters, he could buy a grounds ticket just like you and me.
Right.
So I don't feel really all that bad for him. He's going to be just fine with his, little golf league over there.
Yeah. He's going to be fine.
All right, so let's break down some of the stuff on the course, and I'm sure at some point we'll circle back and talk about the live guys. I think it will be interesting to see how these guys score in the event. because, like you said, it's the first time that they're all back together. But we know, getting back to, the actual event, we know that there's going to be wet weather, and it's going to be downright cold on Saturday. I think only the high is supposed to be only 55 degrees. And historically,
and wet? 55 and wet?
Yeah, 55 for the high and wet, rainy.
Yeah,
Which is funny because earlier in the week, tomorrow, I think it's going to be like 89 degrees. So it's really going to cool off towards the end of the week. But I think the wet weather, and this is, just what I've heard, I'm going to throw this out there. You would know maybe a little more than me, but the wet weather, guys who are excellent with their approach shots, that's going to help them. So give me your thoughts on that, and then I'll give you, some of these statistics we mentioned at the top.
Well, I don't know how it's going to change the approach by the players. People keep talking about number 13 and bringing that tee back and making it a 2.5 to 3 shot hole. To get to your point, I think you could argue, hey, let's make it a 3 shot hole, because instead of trying to go for the green in 2, especially when your drive isn't going to be as long because it's wet and cold.
And but once you start 60-something yards to that tee box, correct? Just for everyone, so everyone knows what you're talking about.
And go ahead and lay up, and then put that wedge in these guys' hands. And if the greens are soft and receptive, they're going to be deadly, because a lot of these guys are afraid to put backspin on the ball on a lot of the holes in Augusta, because it'll roll off and hit in Race Creek or a pond. But when it's soft, they know they can throw a dart and it'll stick. They're hoping it'll stick. We got to see what's going to happen. But, I'm just curious to see how it's all going to turn out, because you've already lengthened the hole. You've changed the course. And now dynamically, you're making it even longer with rain. So, I'm not someone who wants to see the final score at +3 or +4 after 4 days of playing.
You're not. But I also Zach don't like seeing in 2007 with a +1.
Yeah, I kind of. I don't know, man. I'm super excited. I think just because everyone's back, it's like you said, the high school reunion. I haven't even thought about how they're going to approach it, but you bring up this compelling point, because wet and cold, that's deadly to the golf ball. I mean, it's just not going to roll. It's not going to fly as far if it's cold. So I think you're bringing in a lot of other players into this tournament that probably don't think they have a chance unless you're in conditions like this.
Right. And as far as the guys who this year on the PGA Tour have been in the top 5 in approach shots, so this is all based on the strokes gained metric. We got Tom Hoge, number 1. We got Morikawa, number 2.
But what did you tell me about Morikawa's putting strokes gained? Because that number is atrocious.
120th. So if he gets the putter going, this is set up so that this could be his tournament. But again, that's a huge if.
Yeah, he has to be hitting his approach shots within 5 feet.
Well, yeah, if he's going to putt to the point where he's only 120th in strokes gained putting.
Right, he's got to make that miss a lot smaller, because 122nd strokes gained putting is not winning the Masters tournament. I don't care what your number is in approach shot strokes gained.
But the whole idea, again, with the weather being wet, is like you said, less backspin. They're going to hold. They're going to be throwing darts out there. So maybe the putting is not a big of a deal, because especially with Morikawa, this is universally, I think you'd agree, universally known as the best ball striker in professional golf. I said professional golf because now with LIV and whatnot, but even so, I still think he's the best ball striker in professional golf.
Right.
And he's also number 4 from tee to green for strokes gained.
Okay.
So I wouldn't dispose of him despite the poor putting.
Well,
let's continue it.
Speaking of Morikawa, I do want to bring up what happened last year with him and Rory on 18. That was spectacular.
Right, where they both pulled out of the sand. And I mean, Rory shot 64 that day, but it doesn't matter because, and he did finish in second. I don't remember if he was tied for second. He definitely was in there at number 2. And it didn't matter because at the beginning of the tournament, he didn't do enough to be in contention. Can Rory McIlroy get something done in Augusta? I mean, this has been 9 years since he's won a major anyway. He wants to talk like he's the world's number 1. He's got to do something in a major I don't know, sometime within the past decade or so.
Harping on Rory, okay.
No, and I like Rory, nothing personal. And it's just, can you win a major in the past decade? I don't think I'm asking too much. Morikawa's got 2. John Rahm's won 1. That's the rest of this list. We got Finau, though, at 3, Rahm at 4.
Well, let's not
Homa at
forget.
5.
Let's not forget, like, okay, let's bring the live players in, right? You've got Brooks, you've got DJ, you've got DeChambeau, and you've got Cam Smith, who are all recent major winners.
Right. Since 2020, those guys have all won majors.
But arguably, they haven't put up.
Or not Brooks, excuse me, not Brooks, but he has won 4 of the past 22 majors, so excuse me.
Right. Now, Rory's been putting up wins in a way that those guys haven't, though.
Right. Rory won the PGA Championship in the same state at Eastlake to close out the season last year.
Well, I'm just talking about the Players' Championship, the FedEx Cup.
Okay.
In the last few years, he's put up some pretty big victories. And
right, but you got to win majors. Let's face it. What is important and how we view these golfers, for the most part, is how do you do in majors? So Rory McIlroy, he's got to win a major, and he's got to complete the career, all 4 majors. This is his shot. Never been as good as this. We all know he's, top 1, 2, 3, whatever it wants to be, whatever you want to call it in the world. This is his chance to win.
Yeah. So let's talk about who Golf Digest predicts.
All right, let me hear.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you're talking about how Rory hasn't won a major in a long time.
He has not.
Golf Digest says that their number 1 pick for the Masters winner this year is also another guy who was a young phenom and hasn't won a major in a long time. And not only has he not won a major in a long time, but he hasn't won as many tournaments as Rory has, and that's Jordan Spieth.
I had a feeling you were going to say Jordan Spieth. All right, so let's break it down with Spieth. And I promise I don't really have too much, written down about Spieth as I peruse my notes, but obviously we know he won the Masters in 2015. We know he won the Open Championship in 2017. He won last year at the tournament after the Masters. Oh, what's the dopey one with the plaid jacket? Come on, at Hilton Head. We all know what I'm talking about. Whatever it's called. Everyone knows.
Is that the Travelers?
No, that's in Connecticut. What's the stupid tournament called? Harbor Town, Harbor Links, whatever it is. Everyone knows. So he won that, okay? And I think Spieth has got a shot because obviously he knows the course. You think about 2016, he absolutely melted down, splashing ball after ball into Rays Creek the year that Danny Willett won it. So I think he could be in the mix definitely as well here. Why does Golf Digest pick him? I'm just curious.
Let's see here. Okay. So they say his putting remains a concern, but Augusta National is Spieth's playground, a place where his artistry and vision take on a paramount importance, and where he can take a complicated game and make it look remarkably simple.
Do they pay these guys by the word? They're not even writing anything. Give me something.
Here's the other thing. Oh, and there's the undeniable fact that Spieth has won on the past 2 Easters, and this year Easter is on Championship Sunday at Augusta.
That's
Let's get to number 2.
That's a stupid reason. That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard as a reason why a guy is going to win the golf tournament. Give me something that he's doing on the course. Tell me about how he's hitting the ball. Tell me about is he making putts? Can he hit a sand shot good? Something. All right, give me number 2.
Let me give you some. I like picks number 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Number 2, Scotty Scheffler. He's won 6
obvious.
times in the last. Yeah, right. That's obvious. He's won 6 times in the last 6 weeks. Number 3, Rory McIlroy.
Scheffler is the
and number 4, John Rahm.
All right, so let's go through this. Scheffler's the favorite to win right now. That's worth noting. And let me tell you why it's worth noting. Because in the past 13 Masters, 5 of the favorites have won. That's 35%. Okay. And if you look at this from his odds, I know this is not your forte when it comes to golf, it's more my thing. but at plus 650, that's an implied odds of 13.33%. So that's given me something there, because you're getting some type of value in the fact that the favorites won 35% of the last 13 times. So yeah, Scheffler, that makes sense. There's some data to back that up. Not, oh, he's won on the past 2 Easter Sundays. That's stupid.
I hear
All
you.
right, we talked about Rory. This is his shot.
Yeah.
He's got to do it now. I view him almost just like your boy with the Suns, Chris Paul. It's now or never for him. And Roy's not quite at the tail end of his career, because golf, you can play longer. And then who's the other guy? Rahm. Rahm's the #1 in the official world golf rankings, is he not? Or is he 2 and Scheffler's #1?
Scheffler's 1.
All right, so Rahm is
But
Rahm is 2.
I think the rest of the choices here are interesting. Schauffele at 5, Thomas at 6, Cameron Smith at number 7. I'm surprised. Morikawa at 8. I just don't see it with that, especially after you gave me that putting stat.
Right.
Patrick Cantley, I don't see that either. Cameron Young at 10. I don't know. These are, I don't know. Max Homa at 11, Jason Day at 12, DJ at 13, Tony Finau at 14, and rounding off the top 15, Sungjae Im. I like Finau, not because I like him and I like his game and I like his family story on Netflix.
Yeah,
I like his
everyone likes
game at Augusta. He seems to have a feel there. I don't know how to describe it, but he seems comfortable there.
Right, and I agree. And he finished tied 5th in the 2019 Masters, the one where Tiger won, of course. I think he went out in that final group with Tiger. And as I sent you my notes, I mean,
That's a lot to deal with, by the way.
Right. I mean, it's big time pressure situation. But as I sent you my notes, I mean, there's nothing statistically that I don't like about him in terms of strokes gained. There's nothing that's a negative. The negative with him, though, is just the fact that he's never won a major. And that's a tricky spot. You mentioned Homa.
Well,
give me a thought on Finau, then I'll go back to Homa.
I mean, you got to remember that he just started winning, period. So, yeah, he's never won a major, but he hadn't really won until recently when he went on this tear. Here's some numbers for him. He's playing the best golf of his career, ranking 4th in strokes gained and 3rd in approach. He's played extremely well at Augusta, finishing T10 or better in 3 of his last 5 starts.
Like that.
The only thing that stood between him and the green jacket, they say, is the putter. And that's why I say I don't see Morikawa doing it. Now, keep in mind, I was there when I saw Finau miss a putt to win the Phoenix Open. And it's just hard to see that, because you see them put on 4 days of great golf, and then it's like 2, maybe 3 putts out of 4 days that keep them from winning. And you're just like, oh, dude, you've got so much.
Right. And that it's as simple as that sometimes. A missed putt here, missed putt there, and it can come down to 1 stroke. A thought on Homa, you mentioned him. He's the best front 9 scorer right now for this season, but he's 31st on the back 9. You have to wonder, is it a psychological thing? Is he out of? I wouldn't think he's out of shape. But
No.
Again, with him at Augusta, tied for 48th is his best finish. That's not good enough. You got to do better there. You mentioned Schauffele. He's been one of those guys. The key stat I'm looking for this week, where he's been in the top 5 this season in a strokes gained with their approach. I don't hate him there as well. I think that list is really good. I mean, they're not really taking any shots in the dark. They're not saying something like,
you know what?
I don't know, like
We've
Jose
talked
Maria
about.
Olazabal's gonna win.
I'm going to bring up a name back in the day, and we talked about him once before. We brought up Chris DeMarco.
Yeah.
Chris DeMarco was a
York.
guy who just seemed to live on the leaderboard and never got it done. And I'm really kind of starting to feel that way a little bit about Schauffele. And I like Xander. I like his game. I like the way he does interviews and stuff like that. I want to see him win, but I'm just getting this feeling, and I don't know. It says here that he's got right now he's finishing 8th in strokes gained over the past 3 months. So he's getting warm, and now's the time to do that. So we'll see.
He can do it. I mean, why not? There's no reason to, I mean, he's young, he's talented, he's won tournaments before. There's no reason in the world to think that he can't do it.
Yeah.
Did you mention Will Zalatoris? I'm just curious.
You know, I love Will Zalatoris because to me, to some respect, he reminds me a little bit of Spieth. I mean, watching him play golf like Spieth is an absolute roller coaster, and seeing shots that they make to, you know, they'll be in no man's land, but still get it on the green. That stuff is exciting. He's obviously kind of a streaky putter. I think he's super exciting. And I love when he won that last tournament of his, when he landed that putt and he screams, "What are they going to say now?" I love that fire. I love that intensity. And I think he's got it. And let's be honest, dude, I think like people were really impressed with where he was his rookie year. You know, his rookie year, he's in the final group of what, 2 majors? I got to go back and look. But I think he finished second and third in 2 of his first 4 majors ever. So I like this kid. I think he's got a lot of talent. We all know he's got a lot of talent. You know, that back thing kind of messed him up and took him out right after he won. Right after he won, he got hurt the next weekend. So I'd love to see him. And they've got him in here at, what did I say?
Is he
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
that top 15?
He's not in the top 15.
Interesting. I need to put me on. I got to pause this for one
He's
second.
number 16.
I've got to get my dog some water. I'm going to pause the recording. Hold on.
All right.
And we had to take a momentary break there. My dog needed water. I couldn't leave before.
How did you know that she needed water?
I mean, she was panting, and this dog never makes a sound. This is my older dog, 12 plus years old. She needed some water.
Wow. So let me give you some info on Zalatoris, and this gets to what I was saying, the roller coaster, right? Now look, since his back, he's not the same guy since that since that injury. But here we go. He's 51st in strokes gained and 77th approach. Okay.
I don't love that.
He finished runner-up and T6 in his last 2 Masters. And you know what? He kind of reminds me a little bit of Brooks in the sense that you just put the word major in front of the tournament, and then all of a sudden he's a different guy.
He comes to play in those majors. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
The intensity comes and the execution comes.
Right. You didn't even mention 2022 last year at the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Lost in a playoff. So, yeah, he turns up his game. He's not, one of the favorites. You mentioned the injuries. You mentioned some stats that you don't love there. I think he's a guy worth considering.
Oh, yeah. I was going to put him in my top 10. I think he's going to be there. But he's also one of those players who, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes he's there and he's commanding attention, or he's not even close. Yeah. Whereas you have some other guys who might be in the top 15 in the leaderboard, and you're hoping on moving day they'll make a move, and maybe they get to their 5th or 6th place and they don't win. I don't see that for him. It's either he's going to be like in the top 8 players on the leaderboard, or he's not really part of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, so miscut, I think, for him would be on the table. But, I mean, like we said, he definitely comes to play. Let me run you by a couple other names I got here. And I think you mentioned Jason Day, so let me give you a note on him. Jason Day, do you know where he fell to with his lowest point in the official world golf rankings?
No. Was it 200 something?
175th was his low point. He's now back inside the top 35. No miscuts this year. Top 10 in 5 of his last 7. 3 top 5s. No wins in the past 5 years.
Right.
And the biggest knock on him historically at Augusta is his average is over par on Thursdays. Kind of puts you in the,
you can't shoot yourself out of over par on the first day.
Right.
Because we gave an example of that. We gave Rory, right? Rory shoots lights out on Sunday, but just can't overcome what damage he had done earlier.
Right. Could you imagine last year if Rory's 64 on Sunday was, to put him in the winner's spot and not just to get him into second place? You'd be calling that one of the most legendary performances of all time.
Absolutely.
But it's not good enough. So, yeah, that's there. And just real quick to kind of like get some of these guys out of the field. So there's 88 golfers in the field. All right. Here's some guys we're going to throw out. There's 7 amateurs. They're not going to win. Sam Bennett is the notable one who plays at Texas A&M, the 2022 U.S. Amateur Open champion in Ridgewood, New Jersey. But those 7 guys, they're not winning. Let me tell you why. I mentioned the Masters from 1956 earlier.
Yeah.
1956, way before each one of us were born. A gentleman by the name of Ken Vittori, okay? Tell me, I just want a reaction to this little story, history time lesson. He lost the Masters by 1 stroke, okay? He was an amateur. You know what he shot on Sunday?
Tell me.
An 80. He lost the Masters on Sunday and he shot an 80. So even if he shot 78, he's holding up the green jacket. Give me a reaction to that. He finished at +2 for the tournament.
Dude, that's real hard. That's tough. Like, who won?
Oh, goodness. Of course, I don't write down the whole story. The guy who won, I did read this. He showed up 15 minutes before the tournament, before his round that day. Didn't even warm up. Won the Masters. So that story has 2 crazy elements to it. Could you imagine winning the Masters? You get there 15 minutes before. And could you imagine losing the Masters because you shoot an 80, but you still only lost by 1? I bet you could.
What year was that?
1956. They could play that tournament for 400 more years. You won't see anything like that.
No.
And that's why we love golf, because you see crazy stuff all the time.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to find out. Let's see. It's hard to look for it right now.
Right. I'll type in 1956 Masters winner, see what we got. 1956 Masters winner. This is horrible content right here. The guy
Jack Burke Jr.
There you go. Boom. All right. So Mr. Jack Burke Jr. And that was the last Masters in which there wasn't a cut, by the way.
And what did he shoot for his final round?
His final round, that I don't know, but he shot at +1 for the tournament.
Right.
I should take better notes on these crazy stories.
He shot a 71 on Sunday.
Yeah, and it said horrible weather, and that was, a reason why I probably found it while doing my research. Another time, if I can give you some more weather-related crazy Masters, Zach Johnson, and I think I was trying to say this before, he won in 2007, and he shot +1. Do you know what the average score has been the past 13 years? We're kind of just running through some things here, rapid fire, hit you with some reactions.
Tell me.
-12. So that's a pretty low score, honestly. Like, I don't have it in front of me. I'm willing to bet that the U.S. Open for the past 13 of them has been, much lower relative to par, so a worse score. And the highest.
Well, and that's why they made 13 35 yards longer, because instead of a handful of eagles and a vast amount of birdies, they're going to try and take those eagles out and minimize the birdies.
Right. And that is another thing that I read today, that the winner of the tournament, the Masters, usually does well on these par 5s. I think Scheffler last year was -8 on the par 5s. So that's kind of going to get you in there. All right. Let's break this down. We've beat around the bush. I've given you numbers. You've given me numbers. We've laughed. We've had some fun here. Give me a top 5 and give me a long shot, just someone worth keeping an eye on. And then I'll do the same. And then we got to break down something food related, since it is the Masters.
Oh, dude, I love Scheffler's dinner.
We'll talk about that in a second. Give me a top 5.
Look, I'm going to go. I'm not going out on a limb, right?
You don't have to.
Yeah, I got Scheffler, McIlroy, Rahm, Cam Smith, Tony Finau. That's my top 5. And my long shot. Oh man, Okay, my long shot
Just someone
is
worth. I'm not saying you're saying he's going to win, but just give me someone who's lower down there to watch.
you know who's been playing pretty good lately? Is Sepp Straka. Now he hit a hole in one today, and that's not why I'm picking him. But I've just been seeing his name a lot more lately. And I don't know. I just feel like he's somebody who's going to slowly get like a major and then probably fade out. Like he's been playing better. He's had a couple of recent wins. And, I don't think he's an absolute flash in the pan, but I don't think he's going to be a legacy player. But I like what he's been doing the past year and a half.
I don't hate that at all. And I mean, just to draw somewhat of a comparison, that could be like a Charles Schwartzel winning back in 2011, where like, it's not a historically great player, but like you said, someone who won a major. Zach Johnson would kind of fit that, but he's
won Mike Weir.
Yeah, Mike Weir, the lefty Canadian. So, all right, you took a stand, you took a position, you didn't back down from it. You could pick the obvious guys. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, 88 golfers in the field. You got 7 amateurs in there too. You've got 7 or 8 old guys that really don't stand much of a chance. Larry Mize, Jose Maria Olazabal. I mean, come on, they're not winning it. Bernard Langer.
Wait,
again, they're not
there
winning.
is one name neither one of us has mentioned, and you know who I'm talking about. Golf Digest says he's the 20th chance of winning the Masters. How can they say that? How can they say?
I don't know how we could do a podcast about golf and not talk about Tiger Woods, but I guess, I don't know, we were weird. I'm assuming that's who you're talking about, is it not?
Yeah. He's an old guy. You think he has a better chance than 60 other players?
No. Yeah, no, definitely not better than 60 other players. I kind of have Woods. So the past champs that I really don't think can win, but I wouldn't put it at 0, would be guys like Tiger Woods. Mickelson also, you really can't rule out because he's
I don't
won a
think you
major
can rule
last
him out.
years. Even Danny Willett, he's been playing okay this year, but they're not guys that I'm
didn't Danny Willett come in like 12th last year or something?
He did. So again, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but he's just not going to win. I wouldn't put them though with Mize or Couples or Lyle or, like I said, Jose Maria Olazabal. You mentioned Mike Weir, BJ Singh. These are guys that aren't winning it, who are just in there because they've won. They've earned the right to play there. That's the way that the tournament is set up. And one other guy I want to mention, who won last week, Corey Connors. I don't think he's going to win either, just because it's only happened 4 times before where you win the week before in the Masters. Phil Mickelson did it in 06, and Sandy Lyle did it in 1988. Those guys are both in the field this week too. But for my top 5, in no particular order except for the winner, who I'll name last. So I'll give you 4, and then a winner, then a long shot. I got Homa, I got Spieth, I got Rory, I got Morikawa. So just like you, I'm not really going out on a limb. My winner is Will Zalatoris. I think he's finally going to pull through. And I've got Abraham Answer as a guy to watch. A guy who's kind of been forgotten. He's out there on the LIV. This is the guy who was contending in tournaments, always in the mix. He took the money and ran to LIV. But I think he's a guy to watch. And on the top 5, so the guys I just mentioned, besides Abraham Answer, if you're into it, $2 will give you $6,200 if all 5 of those guys finish in the top 5. So Zalatoris doesn't even need to win as a part of that, but it's got to be in the top 5.
That's crazy, dude. So listen, as much as you said you're not going out on a limb, I think you
I
are.
don't think I'm either.
One,
who am I
and
going
2,
out on a limb with?
Is the only player that we have on the same list Rory?
Yeah, because I don't think. Yeah, you don't have. Did you mention Homa in your top 5 just now? No. So I guess Rory's the only guy who we agree on, and this is pretty typical for me to absolutely destroy a guy and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I think he'll do real well." All right, so man. Let's break down the food real quick before Zoom kicks us out, because let's face it, we're not paying for this, fancy extended time. So we got 4 minutes. Let's break down the food. What are you serving if you somehow won the Masters? Give me your meal.
Oh man. Well, like I said, I kind of like Scheffler's dinner. I'm a big cheeseburger guy. I love cheeseburgers, so I love that he had, sliders on the menu. I love shrimp. Right,
You got his
cheeseburger
menu.
and some fried shrimp. That's kind of like a poor man's surf and turf. I feel like that hits
I
home
like
with
that.
me. You know what I mean?
No, but
Some
that's good.
burgers.
Like, I wouldn't even call that poor man's. If I'm eating some cheeseburgers and some shrimp, especially, shrimp firecrackers, you got good sauce in the mix there.
Yeah.
That's not poor man's anything. So
And then I like his
what he's
tortilla
serving.
soup. Get a little bit of that Southwest Mexican influence there. The warm chocolate chip skillet cookie. We got the best Pizookie here.
Yes. All right. I'm glad
And
someone else knows what
oregano's
Pizookie is.
in the Southwest. I'm not a huge ribeye steak guy, but I like that black and red fish. I think cheeseburgers and fried shrimp. I know this is going to be a little bit weird, but if I could get some like Bianco pizza in there, super thin cracker crust pizza, like an
Oh, wow.
appetizer.
Okay.
So I'm kind of going for like pseudo junk food, right? Like cheeseburgers, pizza,
I
fried
got nothing
shrimp.
wrong with that. No, I love his meal, honestly. I don't think I would change much. Maybe flip the ribeye for a filet mignon. And then instead of tortilla soup, I don't love tortilla soup. Maybe I get a lobster bisque, continue down the alleyway with the shrimp firecrackers. I could do a nice French onion soup even.
Okay, I'm down with the French
His menu
onion.
is spot on. And I mean, Bubba Watson, who's won this tournament twice, another live guy, his menu got put out there. I guess it had never been shown, or maybe I never saw it to now. Caesar salad, which I like. Grilled chicken. Come on, dude. Do better. Green beans, mashed potatoes, corn. Boring. Mac and cheese, good. Cornbread, good. So, those are some highlights there. And he had confetti cake, which I'm not really sure exactly what that is. Not good, though.
Oh, I love confetti cake.
All right, so maybe you like it a little more. I saw that and I was like, that sounds gross.
It's, like the funfetti cake. It's got like the sprinkles in it and stuff like that. All right, let's listen to this one. This one was pretty good too. You ready to this?
Yeah.
All right, this is Matsuyama's dinner, and appetizers were assorted sushi, sashimi, and nigiri, yakitori chicken skewers, then miso glazed black cod, Miyazaki Wagyu steak, and then Japanese strawberry shortcake.
It sounds pretty good to me. So sounds like he did good.
That sounds high class, dude.
I love it. We're about to get kicked off the Zoom. I got to give one more note to you real quick, and then we'll probably be kicked off. I like Bernard Langer to finish in the top 40.
Oh, yeah, he's making the cut for sure. And top 40, come on. Remember when he made the cut and DeChambeau didn't and all those other guys didn't?
I do. That's why I'm picking him in 2020, that was. All right, SchlossRant, Brown Bear. We'll see everyone later.
No big deal.
Oh, dude, it's all good. You're going to be fine.
Snowman, but I'll recover.
Yeah, you will. I know you will. Great flop shot. That looks good. Oh.